All right, the decision is in. He's going to Miami. I didn't make any LeBron James dedicated videos in terms of this free agent signing because I just didn't feel like I could have anything interesting to say before he made a choice. Now that he's made a choice, I am going to make a LeBron video, but I just didn't feel the need to throw stuff out there when nothing could be trusted or believed or nothing was confirmed. Obviously, initially, I thought he was going to Chicago. In recent days, it became obvious that wasn't happening, so then I was thinking, he was going to stay in Cleveland, actually. But in the last 24 hours or so, we've heard these news updates about how it looked like Miami, all signs pointing toward Miami, and right before he announced it, I was pretty much thinking Miami too, but only because so many people were saying it, it just looked like it had been pretty much confirmed. So, what does this mean? Let's consider it from all angles. LeBron, in a word, cowardly, kind of. Cowardly. Miami is not a good sports city. Okay, they're into their Dolphins, but the Heat don't have a big fan base, although they're going to have a big one now. They don't have the history that New York or Chicago does. Those were two places that he certainly could have gone. So, you go to a town full of fair weather fans and people who aren't really big into basketball. It's just a little, I don't know about it. But beyond that, he's going to be joining, let's say he's the best player in the league, because I really do believe that. I still think he is the best player in the league, and I don't think it's actually close, but I don't feel like debating the nuances there right now. And I also think Dwayne Wade is the second or third best player in the league. I'm not sure. He's at least top 5 by any standards, but I would actually put him probably second. So you get the two best players in the league. And then you got Chris Bosh, who in my opinion is one of the best, maybe the best, I would say at least a top 3 second banana in the league. Meaning he's the kind of player who is awesome as your second option, but if he's your number 1 option, you're in trouble. You're not winning a championship. He's just not that kind of player. Like a Pau Gasol, like a, well, really what Kevin Garnett has been the last few years in Boston. Like a Scottie Pippen was a great example. Like Kobe earlier in his career when he was with Shaq. Those kind of players. Kevin McHale, James Worthy, those guys. So, you have that. So now you're talking about a team with the 2 best players in the league, arguably, I would say that, and the best second option in the league as a third option. Yeah, I'm sure LeBron and the Heat are going to win a championship. If not this year, then next year, or some year down the road, a couple years in the future. But it's not going to mean as much because there's a very much the possibility that Wade is going to be the man on that team. LeBron gets to be the sidekick, and Chris Bosh gets to be the third guy. So it's not going to mean as much. He obviously has the capabilities, talent-wise, to win a ring as the man on a team, but maybe he's just not very confident in that right now, so he feels like he wants to go somewhere where he doesn't have to be the man. At least not the man on a daily basis, but quite possibly the man in general. So, to say, it's been 7 years, I haven't won a ring, I really want one, but instead of building my own team in Chicago, or building my own team back in Cleveland, or whatever, he says, I'm going to go to a team that already has things in place. I'm going to go to Wade's team, because Miami's kind of Wade's team. And to me, that's just a little bit cowardly for him to feel so unconfident in his abilities to win a ring as the man that he decides to get into a situation where he doesn't have to be the man. Okay, from the angle of the Miami Heat, the team that signed him. In a word, I would say cautious, but I'm pretty optimistic about that. looking at him, you got LeBron James, you got Dwayne Wade, you got Chris Bosh, got Mario Chalmers, and also I believe they still have James Jones in the roster. So they got to sign 7, 8, maybe 9 minimum level players. Now, I don't know who it's going to be. Probably some people at the bottom of the free agent barrel, maybe some second round picks, maybe some Europeans. I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but of that group of, let's say, 9 players, you got to dig out at least 3 guys that are going to be like a Derek Fisher, like a Robert Ory, like a Brian Shaw, like a Steve Kerr. You got to dig those guys out. But I feel like they're going to roll the dice with 9 people. And if they can get lucky 3 times and get 3 decent contributors out of those 9, I think they're good. And I think the odds are in their favor of that happening. They get 9 chances. They just need to get it right like 3. Because I don't really like James Jones, but I do like Mario Chalmers. I think Mario Chalmers can be a decent role player. So to me, they have one of their role players in Mario Chalmers. Beasley, I kind of forgot to mention Beasley. They still have him under contract. He, maybe being a 4th option is his destiny. Maybe he'll be like that Lakers team this last year, Maybe he'll be like the Ron Artest or Lamar Odom type. Maybe he'll be what, like, Rondo was to the '08 Celtics. Maybe he'll be like the Rick Fox of the early decade Lakers. Maybe if he can be the 4th option, which is what's going to happen now, obviously, maybe that's what he needs. So you get that tweener, a guy who's a little better than a role player, but not a star. You got that role filled maybe with Beasley. I'm not giving up on him entirely. I still like Beasley a little bit. And you got your first role player in Mario Chalmers, so that's 5. So now if you can just get 3 more decent role players and you can fill out the rest of the roster with crap, to me that team gets to the finals, probably wins the finals. I mean, you have a lot of freedom when your best 3 players are probably the 2 best players in the league and a top 15 player and one of the elite second options. So if Beasley pans out, that gives them a ton of freedom. And I don't mean pans out like a star. Beasley can just, score 12 points and grab 5 rebounds a game, and that would be fine, I think. So to me, they do need to get a little lucky picking up minimum contract free agents now, but I think the odds are in their favor for that to work out, and I think they will be in the finals, and I think right now that they're going to win the finals this year. From the other angles, Cleveland, I know you're mad at him, but maybe you should be directing your anger at the front office of Cleveland. This didn't have to happen. He would have loved to have stayed, I'm sure. Miami's not a great sports town. I don't think he was going there for the, rabid fan base. It's a question of the ability to win, and if you look at what Cleveland's done since LeBron's gotten there, the Carlos Boozer thing, not really their fault. That was Boozer being a jackass. But, they tried to pick up like Larry Hughes. They had Ricky Davis. They wasted draft picks on so many occasions. Their only good pick was Anderson Varejao. They did the Shaq trade, which I don't know if that screwed them, but didn't quite work out the way they probably hoped. They had a Jamison trade go through that was supposed to put them over the top. Didn't really happen. He wasn't what they needed him to be. They've made deals, they've made signings, they've made draft picks ever since LeBron got there, and most of them have just been bad. Most of them have just not worked out. So maybe you should be mad at those guys. Danny Ferry, Mike Brown even. The guys in the front office who just didn't quite get it done. I mean, that Cleveland team, even if LeBron went back to Cleveland, that Cleveland team's not going to win the title this year. They don't have any legit big men. They don't have any awesome. They don't have an all-star teammate, and yeah. So, you know, you're going to be mad at him for a while, especially because he did a whole TV show dedicated to how he was leaving, which is not nice, but also don't forget to throw a little hate the way of the people who could not put together the right team. And as for the teams that didn't get him, I don't know. Just in general, maybe you shouldn't have gotten your hopes up in the first place, because, you know, it was just, it's tough. I mean, when you really get your hopes up for something like this. But I think a lot of the teams did make off well in this free agent period, and I'll talk about that in another video. But I really do feel for the Cleveland fans here. A little disappointed in LeBron, but Miami, you're a couple of rolls of the dice away from winning the title, and I'm done.